Hello guys. I made a tweet yesterday or a few days ago, and people have a lot of questions. I'm hoping that I can answer them, but this could be more like a story time, right? I have it like written down on my phone right here, just different points I want to get to. Um, but basically, all throughout my life, because in the comments, people were asking why I didn't do this and this and this, and why I still even lived with my mom when I was 18 years old. But all throughout my life, she kind of forced me to be codependent on her. We live extremely rural. You have to drive 40 minutes to get to the nearest city. We don't have a community bus that drives up here. Like, we don't really have anything, right? It's kind of like a fend for yourself situation with how far we live from the nearest city. Um, and so basically, from a very young age, I tried to have her help me get my ID, my driver's license, and even a job. And she kept making excuses as to why I could not get any of these. Um, and obviously made me very angry because we always struggled with money, so I just didn't understand why she didn't want me to get a driver's license and to get a job because it'd help us. But she forced me to be codependent on her for a long time, even after I had turned 18. Um, and when I was going to and from school, when I was still in high school, um, she would leave me home a lot, and I would have to walk an hour home from the bus stop because of the fact that she was never home. She started dating this man, and there was a period in time where she left me home alone for 3 months on end. The only time that she came over was to drop off food to me or to drive me to the bus stop. But that was it, right? Um, so she would leave me home a lot of the time, and I didn't really have any means of getting anywhere. Uber, I live too far for Uber. I live too far for the community bus, right? There's no way for me to get anywhere except for walking like 5 hours to like the nearest store, right? So I was alone, right? I was stranded, and this is a problem. It had made me really depressed. Um, and while I was still in high school, my mom and her boyfriend broke up, and so she would come home. I thought that maybe this would be better for me and that she would be more caring and more thoughtful now that she doesn't have another person taking up all of her time. But that cannot be further from the truth. She started going out to bars and drinking all the time, and yet again, she would leave me at home for days on end, right? And when she'd come home, we live in a hoarder house. The house I lived in was a hoarder house because of my mother. Um, and her thought process was, well, if I'm out and I'm not home, you have to clean the whole house. And obviously this made me depressed because she'd leave me at home all the time. You know, I was cleaning. And when she would come home from the bars, if she ever did, she would dirty up the whole house again, right? But it was still my fault. She would point fingers at me that it was still my fault that the house wasn't clean, even though I would clean it every single day, every day. Um, the house got so disgusting that mold was growing inside of our house and fruit flies were everywhere, and there was nothing that I could have done. I still cleaned despite all of this. I still cleaned every single day, even while she was out drinking and partying with people. I was cleaning the house 24/7, and nothing could get rid of this, right? Um, and my mom had also kind of isolated me from the rest of my family, so I was too embarrassed and too scared to reach out and to get help. Um, the house got so bad that when I would sleep, I had to wear a hat to cover my face, or else bugs would be crawling on my face. Like, it was really bad. Um, and so that also made me depressed. Like, all these problems were just weighing on each other, right? And they were weighing me down. And she was complaining about money, even though she would go out to the bars, spend all her money at these bars, spend all her money at the casino, and she would never come home. Like, she would buy me food, kind of, not often, honestly, not often. So I don't know where all her money went except for alcoholic beverages in the casino. But she started crying about not having any money. And I told her, I said, you need to help me get a job. I'll get a job and it can make things easier on us. But yet again, she didn't help me do that. She didn't help me put my foot forward and to be independent. Like, she did not, because I didn't know how to get a job. I didn't know how to get a job. I didn't even know how to go about getting your ID. I still don't know a lot of things that a 20-year-old girl should know, but whatever. And then during the summertime, it gets over 100 over here where I live. And because she's complaining about money, she cannot pay the bills. She couldn't pay the bills. It was 100 outside. We were sweating. My cat was panting. It was a really bad situation. Because the AC can't turn on. You know what I mean? I would go, like, it was maybe 2 days before we came to this house, before the incident happened. But for 2 days, we were in a 100-degree house. You couldn't really occupy yourself with anything because you were so exhausted. We would have to wet towels, put them on our beds, and sleep on these towels, and we'd have to get up in the middle of the night and do it over again. It was really bad. And so she finally talked to one of our other family members, said, hey, can we come to the vacation house for a little bit because it has electricity, just until I get the bills paid at our house. So then we come over here to this house I'm living in right now. And I was really depressed. I was on the phone with my boyfriend. I was trying to talk to him, trying to distract myself from the situation that we are in. My cat was still panting. It was scaring me. And it was still pretty hot. Not as hot, sure, but it was still pretty hot over here. And then she told me, hey, you really need to tell me what's bothering you. I can see that you're depressed, and, nothing is going to fix itself if you just don't tell me, what's wrong. Like, you have to let me know. Like, she's telling me that I have to let her know what was wrong, and there's nothing I could say that would get her angry, and that she would be completely understanding of my feelings. And so I told her what was wrong. I said, your priorities for a 50-year-old woman are not in check at all. You didn't help me get a job. You didn't help me get my license. You didn't help me get my ID, right? Like, all of these things would have helped in the long run, right? Like, we would not be in this situation right now if she helped me when I'd asked. Multiple times, by the way. I told her, your priorities aren't in check. You're going out to bars 24/7. You barely ever come home. And when you do come home, you ruin the house again. And the house is molding. I was literally living within black mold. Like, it's a smoker house as well. I have a headache. I got put on opiates because of how bad my headaches were. And on my prescription bottle, it tells you to only take one. Because of how much of a biohazard our house was, I had to take 3 opiates a day. And even then, that wasn't good enough to help me feel better. I was telling her all of this, I was saying, like, you have completely neglected me. And I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in your care. Like, I don't feel safe around you. I try to say it in the nicest, most respectful way possible, right? But then she got really angry at me. And she was saying, oh, everything is just my fault, huh? Like, I'm just the problem, right? And I told her, I was like, yeah, girl, like, you are the problem. You are the problem. There's a bunch of things that you could have done that you did not do because you didn't want to sacrifice something else for it, right? And she just went off, she was screaming at me, yelling at me, and she was crying, saying, like, oh, well, like, you guys don't help me, and no one ever helps me, and whenever I'm depressed, no one cares, and when this happens, no one does anything for me, and whatever, right? Just trying to guilt trip me the hardest she could. And then she left. She left the house, she got in her car, and she drove away, and she started spam texting me and spam calling me. And, she was saying that she was just gonna go away and she was gonna kill herself. And I was like, okay, girl, right? Okay. Because she's had a history of doing this where she will go crazy and say she's gonna go kill herself. Has she ever killed herself? No. Has she ever attempted to kill herself? No. So I didn't believe her. I was like, okay, like, you really, like, I told her, I was like, you really expect me to care when you're yelling at me and you're making me cry? Like, no, I don't care. To be honest, I do not care. And she got mad at me for that. And I was looking around this house and I thought she had something that was very sentimental to me. And so I was crying on the phone saying, like, do you have this? Do you have this? Please, it's the only thing I care about. I need that back, please. My mom knows how much this thing means to me. And so she was saying, oh, like, you really care about this over your own mother. Like, you're so evil and you're so narcissistic and whatever, right? She eventually came home. She eventually came here. And she went to the kitchen and she pulled out a knife. And I was in the corner of the room. I was crying to my boyfriend on the phone and telling him what just happened. And she pulled out the knife and she started cornering me, saying that she was going to kill me and that she was going to stab me. And she was holding it up to, like, my neck and my stomach, right? And I was really scared. I was crying. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to, like, make her more angry, right? And then before this, I had problems with self-harm and suicidal thoughts, and I was in therapy for years. So I really don't know why she decided to do this. I don't know why any mother would do this, but she took out some of her hard medicine and she threw them at me, and she told me that we should take them together because no one cares about us. No one cares about us because if they did, then we wouldn't be in the position that we are in right now. I told her, girl, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? And she took out pills and she was trying to put them in my mouth. And so she tried to calm down and she's walking around the house and she came back and she's like, oh, well, did you take them yet? Did you take them yet? And I told her no, and she was visibly angry as to why I did not take all these pills to kill myself. And so I was traumatized. I was extremely traumatized during that time. I did not know what to do. And people asked me on Twitter, well, why didn't you call 911? You decided to take a picture, but you're not going to call 911. I understand your logic. I understand where you're coming from. But when your mom is holding a knife straight to your neck and threatening to kill you and is trying to force you to take pills to kill yourself, saying that no one cares about you, you're going to be too scared to do anything, okay? I didn't even say a word to her when she was, throwing that knife around at me. I didn't really say much of anything. And you would be scared too. You would be scared too. You wouldn't know what to do either, right? And I didn't call the police because she knew how dependent I was on her. If I called the police, pretty sure I'm too old for CPS to care. And we live in the middle of nowhere. I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car. I don't own a house. I think, at least in my head at that time, I thought I'd be homeless if I called the police on her. If she got taken away, I thought I'd be homeless. Like, it'd be over for me, right? So that's why I didn't call the police, because when I was scared. I was scared of what my mom would do. I didn't want to see my mom kill herself in front of me. I didn't want to see my mom try and kill me. And I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen if I did call the police and they came here. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to be homeless. I didn't know if I'd be able to keep my cat. I was confused. Okay, I was confused and I was traumatized. I didn't know what to do. And there's people saying that there's context missing. There is no context I don't think I could ever give anyone that would validate what my mom did to me. I don't think that there is any excuse at all. I don't know. I hope this answers some of your guys' questions. And when the fight died down, I decided to just not say anything, to be quiet, in hopes that my mom would stop going crazy, and she did eventually. I took a picture, somewhat to document it, because I couldn't believe what just fucking happened to me, and part of it so I could laugh at later. This is a really traumatizing thing that has happened to me. I want to be able to laugh about it later. That's how I personally cope with very traumatizing things. I try and make jokes out of situations that aren't funny at all, because it makes these situations feel less real to me. It makes me feel like it wasn't that big of a deal, water under the bridge. That's just how I cope with things. You might not cope with things like that, and that's completely fine, but I'm different. That's just what I do. So it's just why I took a picture. I posted on Twitter. I didn't think it'd get a lot of views, because pictures of me never really do. Pictures of my face, whatever. never really get a lot of views, never really get a lot of likes anyway. So that's why I posted it. I thought it was just gonna be like some funny, weird tweet that I made, right? But yeah, hopefully I answer your questions. And I'm sorry if my story doesn't make any sense. My perception of time and stuff is really messed up because of that and other things I've endured in my teenage years. But yeah, I hope I answered your question in this video.